Hi everyone, this is Ashish Kyal here. Welcome to Ashish Kyal Trading Gurukul learning series by wavestrategy.com. And sorry to keep you all waiting here because I have been live on ET now and the interview extended beyond 4 p.m. So the 4 p.m. was the timing that ET now had, and we had a very detailed discussion on which sectors to look at for the coming week, which stocks to bet on, how it is looking like for IT, and lot of discussions happening there. It was a fantastic interview, and because of that, the Friday at 4 got delayed. So I really apologize for it. I had no intention to keep you waiting. लेकिन क्या कर सकते हैं, अगर आप लाइव थे चैनल पे तो you can't really do anything about it, right? So fantastic. It's great to see you all here. Very good evening, Bhavyan, Kiran, Pulapali, and a lot of you who are here. And it's fantastic to have Ajoy. Great to see you also here, AP, and fantastic. Pranita, very uh, good afternoon. And a lot of things happening in the markets actually, अगर आप देखोगे बहुत ही interesting week था, because if you look at the market, there is nothing that has changed. Since the beginning of the week I've been talking about कि यार ये market को अगर आपको पैसा कमाना है, it's going to be simply by writing and selling options. मैं starting से यही बोल रहा हूँ, मैं आज भी यही बोल रहा हूँ, that you have to sell both calls and puts, form some kind of a strategy, or maybe sell a put and sell call individually and then book profits and keep riding it. So it is very important you have to do that, because वैसा नहीं करोगे तो पैसा नहीं बनेगा. That's the ultimate problem. If you are not buying, if you are buying an option, you have to be uh, focusing on very short term play, maybe 100 points मिला या 70 points मिला लो और निकल जाओ. That is how the market is. If you are buying option, you need to time your entry and exit very well. If you are writing option, you had to understand that markets have to be conducive, and the market is not conducive for buyers, it is conducive for sellers. And बहुत ही interesting week था. For example, we had a huge announcement of HDFC twins, एंड सबसे ज्यादा सोचने वाली बात यह है कि एचडीएफसी ट्विंस के मर्जर अनाउंसमेंट के बाद में द स्टॉक इज नाउ एट द लेवल बिफोर द न्यूज वाज अनाउंस. सो बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है. मतलब सडनली इतना ह्यूज यूफोरिया हुआ दैट निफ्टी टच्ड 18,100 लेवल, reversed from there, HDFC twins reversed from there, and now HDFC twins are at the level before they were before the news announcement. So हुआ क्या? मतलब what happened to the mega merger that we are talking about, and why such a muted response to it after such an announcement? That's one point. The next thing that I'm going to be looking at very closely is the bond yields. I'm not sure the bond yields if you are tracking it or not, but bond yields are something very interesting. So Indian 10-year bond yield has touched the level of 7.06 or 7.07. This is the highest you have seen since 2019, I suppose. So उसका चार्ट मैं आपको दिखाऊंगा. बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है और कॉम्प्लिकेटेड नहीं है. तो कोई सोच रहा होगा यार बॉन्ड यील्ड होता क्या है, कैसे देखना है. Just understand what is happening, because today was an RBI policy. Very interesting stand. So they did not do anything with respect to the repo rate, but they increased reverse repo rate to 3.75%. Now that is very interesting fact, because एक बाजू अगर आप देखोगे Pakistan, we can clearly see there has been a huge hike in their interest rates, and it is now standing at 12.5%. Sri Lanka is already in big trouble, and we can see the economic collapse in the Sri Lankan market and the way the Colombo Stock Exchange Index has performed. Look at China. If you're looking at Shanghai Index or Hong Kong, they have drastically underperformed. So it seems that we are standing in middle as India, a very strong outperformer, which is different than what the peers are doing. Now वो देखने के लिए एक बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग चार्ट है, मैं आपको दिखाना चाहूंगा. This is something little off the topic but very interesting. So when and the reason I'm talking about this is because we are covering these indices in our monthly research report, which publishes one report in a month, lekin it covers a holistic view on what's happening around. So I'm not going to share across all the things from that research. I'm going to share across something very interesting very phenomenal that you want to see and you can't afford to miss. So let me open up first thing with that research. Let me just share across my screen and it's going to be very interesting. So देखते हैं कि कहां पर है वो रिसर्च. ये रही. If you are able to see my screen over here, I am taking a few snippets from my monthly research which will be published later today. This research you can find access from द वेबसाइट wavesstrategy.com. वो मैं बाद में आपको बताऊंगा कि कहां से एक्सेस मिलेगा और कैसे देखना है. सो क्या आपको मेरा चार्ट दिख रहा है? दिस इज अ वेरी डिफरेंट वे इन विच यू कैन एक्चुअली ट्राई एंड अंडरस्टैंड द मार्केट. दिस इज MSCI इमर्जिंग मार्केट इंडेक्स. ठीक है. Now this is something that I have not even talked about any time before, but this is the entire background which I use for deriving my bigger term outlook perspective on what's happening in the world and what to expect from India apart from Elliott Wave and time cycles. तो यहाँ पर अगर आप देखोगे कि MSCI Emerging Market Index actually represents very clearly, it talks about, just a second, yeah, it talks about कि यहाँ पर we are right now at this point of time. So that clearly suggests कि पूरे के पूरा जो टॉप बना था यहाँ पर was in February 2021. Since then there had been a big enough correction in an MSCI Emerging Market Index. तो आप सोच रहे होंगे कि ये MSCI Emerging Market Index होता क्या है और इससे क्या पता चलता है. So MSCI Emerging Market Index actually represents the what is happening globally in those emerging market stocks. So iska top components kya hai? Let us just try and see that what are the top components of these stocks. Where let me just show it to you. It is the top stocks over here are going to be Taiwan-based semiconductor company, Tencent from China, Korea, China again, India, Reliance Industries, Infosys. So we have a lot of top stocks from China, Taiwan, India. Those are the top, but there are many constituents. So it has 1420 constituents. So that's not small enough, right? And across the countries that you can see. So this is very interesting. यहाँ पर अगर आप देखोगे तो यहाँ से पता चलता है कि Feb 2021 पे ये जो टॉप बना था वहां से ओवरऑल मार्केट इंडेक्स कहां तक करेक्ट हो चुका है. इट इज मच बिलो द लेवल बिफोर, which is I think from the scaling perspective this will be somewhere around 61.8%. I have not measured it, but I am assuming that it's somewhere around 61.8% fall from this entire rise. That is what you have can clearly see in this index. और इससे एक और चीज पता ये चलती है कि जो श्रीलंकन मार्केट का टॉप बना था, which is not in a part of this index. सोचने वाली बात है, श्रीलंकन मार्केट का इंडेक्स जो टॉप बनाया कोलंबो स्टॉक एक्सचेंज में वो भी फरवरी 2021 को बना. अप्रैल 2021 से FIIs have been net sellers, okay, from every single month. We are yet to see what's happening with April, but FIIs have been net sellers or very minor buyers on a monthly average basis. I am talking about since April 2021 in India, so which is again very close to Feb 2021. इससे ये पता चलता है कि ओवरऑल जो मनी है, जो पैसा है, वो इमर्जिंग मार्केट से बाहर जा रहा है. दैट इज फॉर श्योर, देयर इज नो सेकंड थॉट अबाउट इट. And the reason India is saved, okay, the reason India is saved is because of you and me, okay, because of retailers India is saved, and that is why we are seeing a market which is a tug of war between bulls and bears, and it is actually not going anywhere. ना नीचे जा पा रहा है ना ऊपर जा पा रहा है, because domestic retailers buying are offsetting what FIs are doing across the globe. So it's not only India, it is across the globe the FIs have been selling out. Exactly, that is what we can make out from this one single stock chart. इसके साथ में लुक एट व्हाट्स हैपनिंग विद श्रीलंकन इंडेक्स. See, it is important, right? When you are in the world of finance, you can't say see India in isolation. आपको इसके साथ में दुनिया को भी देखना है, जो बहुत जरूरी है, जिससे एटलीस्ट पता तो चले कि हो क्या रहा है. If you look at the Sri Lankan stock market, Colombo Stock Exchange Index, यहाँ पर पता चलता है कि यहाँ पर ओवरऑल 64.5% का करेक्शन हो चुका है फ्रॉम द टॉप. So we can clearly see this index which moved from 340. Try and understand the magnitude of movement. From 340, this index moved all the way on the upside towards 1957. A huge multi-bagger was Sri Lanka. And post that, the top formed again in Feb 2021. Post that, that's going to be a very sharp correction on the downside. अभी आप बोलोगे कि यार ये जो करेक्शन मार्केट में हो रहा है श्रीलंका, पाकिस्तान, चाइना, इज बिकॉज ऑफ देयर ओन इंडिपेंडेंट पॉलिसी डिसीजन दैट दे हैव टेकन. बट डू यू थिंक वी आर लिविंग इन अ वर्ल्ड विच इज इंडिपेंडेंट और ग्लोबलाइज्ड? सोचने वाली बात वो है. अगर यहाँ पर चाइना में कोई छिकता है तो इंडिया को सर्दी पकड़ लेती है, ऐसा होता है ना, बोलते हैं. सो इसी प्रकार से अगर आप देखोगे, श्रीलंका अगर क्रैश हो रहा है, पाकिस्तान हो रहा है, चाइना हो रहा है, इंडिया टाइम करेक्शन कर रहा है, प्राइस करेक्शन नहीं कर रहा. सो इंडिया में टाइम करेक्शन है, प्राइस करेक्शन नहीं. लेकिन ये ओवरऑल पर्सपेक्टिव से पता चलता है समथिंग इज नॉट राइट. दैट इज व्हाट आई वांट टू टेल यू. इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि निफ्टी 18,600 नहीं जाएगा या निफ्टी यहाँ से क्रैश होकर 12,000 आएगा. आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट. आई एम जस्ट सेइंग what is the overall perspective when you are looking at the market, when you are looking at the broader indices, and you have to understand that. Time correction का मतलब क्या होता है? Time correction means the overall market is just simply moving in a range. It is possibly not showing a price correction. It is just not making money by investing in the Nifty index. You are just simply seeing a time correction. That is what we say. Time. नीचे ऊपर ultimately कहीं गया ही नहीं. That is what we call as a time correction. Am I making sense? So this is what we can clearly see is happening around, and this is from, as I said, from the monthly research जो हम publish करते हैं overall, वहां से मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ. This is what it's looking like. Is it clear? Any questions on this? Very interesting, right? इसके साथ में एक और चार्ट जो मैं आपको बताना चाहूंगा वो है बॉन्ड यील्ड का चार्ट. Okay, I'm going to share that across with you all. Just a second. Bond yield is very interesting because let me just open up something here. 1 second. Meanwhile, okay. So bond yield kahan par hai on this chart? If you looking at the overall yield, so yahan par this has all a detailed research report. Let me just clear off the screen. You can clearly see the bond yield is climbed up to 7.1%. It's a classic way in which the bond market is moving. इसके ऊपर scroll करूंगा तो Nifty है, but please bear in mind this is for the clients that we publish, so I'm not sharing everything here. But it's very interesting. The bond markets are suggesting higher yields, लेकिन RBI has maintained a very balanced approach on not increasing the repo rate, but the reverse repo rate. So you might be wondering कि यार होता क्या है, क्योंकि जब मैं शुरू में समझने की कोशिश कर रहा था, I wanted to understand कि यार दोनों में फर्क क्या है, मतलब रिवर्स रिपो हाइक क्या है या रिपो हाइक क्या, what is the difference? So for those people who wants to understand, see, रिपो रेट का मतलब हुआ कि अगर RBI अगर बैंक को पैसा रेज करना है आगे लेंड करने के लिए, so bank will borrow from RBI and lend it across to you and me. ठीक है, corporates, institutions, everyone. Now that rate stands at 4%. That is the rate which is known as a repo rate. So repo rate stands at 4%, and that is where we can see that the RBI is going to allow banks to borrow from it. लेकिन RBI ने repo rate increase नहीं किया, reverse repo rate increase किया. इसका क्या मतलब हुआ? इसका मतलब हुआ that RBI is actually encouraging banks to put park their money with RBI. Reverse repo मतलब है कि आप जो banks है, banks will give money to RBI to park it there. So it's different than repo. So what will happen is now banks will have a little more lucrative scenario where they want to park money with RBI rather than lending it out. So this is an indirect way of sucking uh, out liquidity from the economy, in indirect way. So that's why I'm saying that RBI is maintaining a balanced approach, but this does not directly impact. It's a slow process. It takes time to percolate and it takes time to go through the system. So ultimately, we can clearly see that this entire phenomenon of what you are seeing is happening right now is globally. अगर आप सोच रहे हो कि हो क्या रहा है, globally what is happening is every single central bank is trying to bring down inflation, is trying to reduce liquidity. That is what Fed is doing, right? With their expectation that over the period of 2023, the interest rate is going to be right nearly 3.25 or maybe more, and they are trying to reduce their balance sheet. इसका क्या मतलब है यार? Jargons अच्छा है, लेकिन ultimately what does it mean? इसका मतलब है कि overall they are trying to curb liquidity. Now, what is liquidity? Let us understand that in a simple language. I hope I'm not boring you all with all of these terminologies because this is about economics, right? So I'm talking about economics right now, and I hope this is not trying to bore you कि market में next week में करना क्या है. So it's very interesting. सोचने वाली बात ये है कि entire world right now, earlier entire world was fighting against COVID. ठीक है? Because of that, they started reducing the interest rate, bringing down sharply on the downside. Now the entire world is fighting against inflation. In 2008, the entire world was fighting against financial crisis. That's how it happens. So everyone knows. यहाँ पर सबको पता है it's going to be a runaway inflation. ठीक है, सबको पता है वो होने वाला है. And every single central government is trying to make their way of adjustment, because if they suck out liquidity too fast, too quickly, you know what happened with Turkey, right? नहीं पता तो Turkey economy में जाके देखो, they were like crazy levels because they didn't suck out liquidity at all. They allowed inflation to simply go rampant, and look at what happened to them. On the contrary, certain economies allowed inflation, try to manage inflation too much, so they actually compromise growth, and look at what's happening with Sri Lanka now. Learning from these economies, I think India is maintaining the balanced approach. So what is causing the inflation and what is liquidity? When someone prints money and put it out in the market, how does that function? When you print money, so RBI can print money, issue bonds, and then against that bonds they will give you money. So this is how the entire process happens. When they give money, they channelize it in the economy through banks, through institutions, through NBFCs, in the way of they giving loans and other ways of providing liquidity. Now that is liquidity. Now, if there is too much of money in the economy, what will happen? The demand will obviously pick up and the price will start going up. This time, the prices are going up not necessarily because the demand has picked up, because there is a supply side constraint, not the demand side pullback. So there is a difference. Supply side constraint का मतलब हुआ crude oil prices बढ़ गया. There is not enough of the agri commodities available, and that's why it is very important for you to understand this supply side constraint is the reason why RBI is not raising the interest rate, because demand side agar hota, rural economy is still facing a lot of challenge. What I see and perceive is that the inflation in India has been because of two reasons. It is because of the spending by the on the luxury items that is picking up well. Look at what's happening with the reality space, that's picking up well. Look at what's happening with other other aspect of where people spend. So I'm not talking about middle class, the high net worth individuals. What are they doing? It's because of them. So the inflation, that pressure we are facing right now, is because of them. The middle and lower middle class, if you look at, are still struggling because the demand has not picked up. If you go to rural India, if I was at Rajasthan for some time, and it's still a very bad shape. If you look at the tourism there, it's still not picked up. Foreigners are still not traveling. It's still in a very bad shape. And if you understand the depth of this situation, it is very worrisome from that perspective. What we are seeing on the face of it might not be necessarily true. So what I am trying to tell you is that over here, one has to balance out that in an already suppressed demand situation and economy that we are living into right now, if interest rate starts going up sharply, the demand will simply collapse. If the demand simply collapse on the face of rising inflation, we will collapse like Sri Lanka. If the demand is nurtured, जो अभी है, धीरे धीरे नर्चर करके स्ट्रॉन्ग करना है. At the same time, inflation has to be curbed, which should not go rampant. We have to maintain a balanced direction. This process is going to result into a consolidation of what's going on across in the economy. And that's why over next 1 year, I do not see a very strong performance from equities, very strong performance from equities, because this process where the liquidity is being sucked out at one occasion, at the second time we have an inflation that is worrisome, but at the next level there are people that have lot of disposable income which are pumping money into stock markets and other places. So in this tug of war, we will ideally not go anywhere. That is what it looks like when you look at a broader perspective of what's happening in the economy. Am I making sense to you all? So the flow of this entire discussion continued what I was discussing with ET now, and I thought let me just share across, because it's not very often I talk about economics, I talk about inflation or things like that, but I think this is important. And that's why, what is the simplest way to understand ये जो मैं बात कर रहा हूँ, सबसे easy क्या है? Go check a bond chart, bond yields क्या हो रहा है, राइज हो रहा है, इसका मतलब डेफिनेटली यहाँ पर इंक्रीज तो हो ही रहा है इंटरेस्ट रेट यील्ड्स में. इसका एक और मतलब क्या है, लेट मी एक्सप्लेन यू दैट. दिस आल्सो मींस दैट व्हेन द बॉन्ड यील्ड्स आर राइजिंग, सपोज इफ यू आर अ कॉर्पोरेट, you raised your if you want to issue a bond, you might want to get say 6%. Now because the bond yield itself is 7.1%, it means अगर आपको एक fresh bonds issue करने, money raise करने के लिए, now you have to give 7%. पहले 6% था, now you have to give 7% if you want to raise money out of that. Now that is very very difficult, right? Because आपका cost directly impact हो गया, which means your profitability will be impacted, which is going to be a sign of concern. So in coming quarters, inflation के कारण, yield बढ़ने के कारण, profitability will be hampered, and at the same time अगर demand hamper हो गया, then it's like a double-edged sword where we are going to get out from the demand side, and at the same time input cost तो बढ़ा ही है, उसके साथ में जब प्राइसेस रैली हो रहा है, बॉन्ड प्राइसेस रैली हो रहा है, तो मनी रेज करना और चैलेंजिंग है. इन दिस सिचुएशन, द कंपनीज दैट विल फ्लोरिश और सर्वाइव आर द वंस व्हिच हैव नो डेट, ओके, जिसमें डेट नहीं है, व्हिच इज इंसुलेटेड, व्हिच इज relatively insulated with the fluctuations of inflation. That's the next one, which does not worry about, they have the power to raise the prices if they want, they have that power. And that is what you are seeing, what's happening with ITC right now. Okay, no debt, raising power, because they can do that. Demand is little subdued, that is what they worry, and that's the reason why it will perform slowly. So FMCG sector एक ऐसा है, healthcare sector which is relatively insulated, but healthcare में again there is a big problem with what is happening with US, and a lot of those transitions are going on. That's why we are seeing an underperformance in the healthcare sector. So the sectors that will be very interesting to observe for me closely is going to be automobile. Kyuki automobile is the one which is most sensitive to the interest rate fluctuations. At the same time, luxury automobile, I think, is going to pick up big time. So if you want to focus, you might want to focus on stocks that are possibly diversifying in a way to lure those segment. So I think the name of the game over next 2 years is going to be luxury segment, which is going to be the place where people can easily, uh, demand more pricing because they don't mind spending it. So देखिए, फाइंड आउट करिए कौन से स्टॉक्स है वो सेगमेंट में, एंड इट्स गोइंग टू बी वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. सो चलते हैं चार्ट पे. द थीम ऑफ दिस टुडेज वेबिनार वाज लुकिंग एट हाउ टू ट्रेड ऑप्शंस, लुकिंग एट volume profile and open interest, but very different approach to the markets. That is what we are seeing right now. Along with that, very interestingly, crude oil prices, right? Since we are talking about it, the crude oil prices in 2008 was around $147. सोचने वाली बात है, आई एम टेलिंग यू. $147 क्रूड ऑयल यूएस डॉलर्स में टच किया था. इन इंडिया, इन INR, द प्राइस वाज 45 रुपीस. ठीक है. क्रूड ऑयल राइट नाउ इज एट $100. $147 के कंपैरिजन में अभी खाली $100 है. बट द प्राइस ऑफ पेट्रोल in Mumbai, I think, is 119 against 45 rupees when it was at 145 $7. That has happened because of two reasons. The two reasons that you see, that $147 tha or 45 rupees tha, that's one. Now $100 hai, lekin 119 rupees hai, okay, which is more than 100% of what it was in 2018 INR terms, is because of two reasons. One of the reason that you see is because of rupee depreciation. So rupee at that point of time depreciated from that levels. I think it was somewhere around 60. It depreciated, or 55, 60 ke aaspaas tha. It's now 75. So rupee depreciation would have caused nearly 30-40% rise. 30-40%, not 120%. The rest has happened because of the rise in the excise or taxes by the government. Now that is being used to ensure that whatever spending has been done for COVID is being taken care of. India being one of the largest importers of oil, and huge revenue being generated out of that, and that is actually going to be helping stabilizing our fiscal deficit. And that's the reason why you see such a disparity that has happened in India. If you compare the prices of fuel in India compared to Pakistan, compared to US, compared to any other economies, it's one of the highest. But I think in a way that is good, because now government has one more tool to curb inflation if they want to do that, to reduce that excise, to reduce that tax. If they do start building on that, they will definitely lose out on the revenue that they want to collect for paying off such a huge bills of COVID and 1 or 2 years of backlog that has happened. But at the same time, they have that tool where they can manage inflation to some extent. So I think India is very placed very balancedly, and what is that we are seeing right now is we are very clearly seeing a balanced approach between RBI, between what the government is doing, between what is happening across. So it's a very, very balanced approach in which the entire policies of India is poised. I think this is really good. I'm actually happy the way this is functioning. But markets are markets, right? So now the risk. I've talked about the plus of India. Now the risk that I want to talk about. Suppose आपके पास में portfolio of stocks है, which you have parked across money across the globe. You are losing out on every front except in India, if that is the case. If you want to book profits, the only way you can do that is to sell India. then is the time that you can possibly start booking profits. Because if you sell India, then you can possibly show your net NAV has not lost much, because you have lost value on China. People have bet big time on Sri Lanka. Taiwan has not done exceptionally well since past 7-8 months anyways. You can clearly see what's happened with Russia, for sure, of course. And all of these money that hedge funds, big players park in, they don't park in only in India or other places. They have been definitely impacted with what happened with Russia, what happened there, what is happening globally. So they are definitely impacted there. At the same time, the risk of currency depreciation is increasing, because if the Fed is increasing their interest rate, and we can clearly see that it is now becoming more lucrative to take money out of emerging economies on the face of depreciating currency. Because agar unhone paisa nahi nikala, they have to possibly then face the pressure of currency depreciation also and park it in US. So given that global risk, given that they want to book profit at least somewhere in India, they will start selling. And that's the risk that we carry. But is the domestic players or retailers like you and me strong enough when they start the another leg of sell off, strong enough to curtail the downward trajectory, is what has to be observed. Are we strong enough to curtail that? 2008 was similar scenario where we thought we are decoupled with what the world is happening. So are we really decoupled now, is what we want to observe. That's going to be very, very interesting. And very clearly, this is going to be a very important phenomenon. So बहुत सारी चीजें अगर मैं इसमें बात करूं तो I can talk for hours and hours together, but I think we are diversifying out of from what we want to do. So given this scenario, let us now look at what is happening with Nifty, what's happening with Bank Nifty. Are we headed for a down move, or are we headed for an up move from here on? Let's go on the chart and let's just check that happening. So I have a chart here, which I'm going to share across on a volume profile, which is going to be very interesting. I'm going to just share across my screen. Here is the screen, here is the chart. Okay, I can see someone is saying ki my book is out of stock. Yeah, so there is a huge demand, Rajnit. That's why the book goes out of stock again and again. The book price in India is 995 rupees. Please don't pay a higher price. Amazon करता क्या है कि इंडिया की बुक अवेलेबल नहीं है, आउट ऑफ स्टॉक है, तो लंदन प्राइस पे आपको भेज देता है, which is around 3000 and 12,000 rupees. So don't buy at that high value. You can simply visit wavestrategy.com/books. My colleague will share across the link. Please share the link across to everyone, and they will and you can register there. I'll speak with the publishing house why the book is again out of stock with them. So यहाँ पर अगर आप चार्ट देख रहे हैं, let me hide myself here. You can clearly see over here there has been a huge volume. So this is Nifty futures chart that you can see. I am sharing the screen, right? You are able to see my screen, everyone? Okay. So यहाँ पर अगर आप देखोगे तो यहाँ पर जो volumes हो रहा है निफ्टी में, which is very interesting. Let me take a little more data here so that we can see what's happening around overall. So this is a volume profile. This is on the right hand side. The book is not in an audio version. The audio version of the book is my mentorship. So, okay, so that's how it is. So यहाँ पर अगर आप चार्ट देखोगे, you can clearly see, very interestingly, you can see that the huge volumes happened around this area, जहाँ पर ये volume profile है. So on the right hand side, this is what you are seeing is known as a volume profile. And we can clearly see a lot of accumulation happened around 17,300, 200 odd levels on the volume profile side. इसके बाद में, what we are seeing right now is that again a pickup in the volume has started happening here at this zone, which is today. So something is happening again at this area. That is what is very interesting, but we can't really say कि इस basis पे क्या ये accumulation है, क्या ये distribution है? No, we can't really say that. We can say that a volume activity is happening now here. अगर आज का हाई ब्रेक होता है, then we might be headed on the upside towards the level of, this is futures chart by the way, and future is trading at a premium of around 90 points, right? So यहाँ से 18,060 which is around 17,960 का level, I think we should be able to see on the spot chart. So we will be able to see these levels on the spot chart, but futures chart पे next level to observe about today's high is 18,060. That is what we want to observe. We want to see when market moves here कि यहाँ पर re-accumulation हो रहा है क्या? Is the volume again building up here? That will be a classic sign of a breakout. If prices move up, start showing re-accumulation, it's a sign of breakout before the next big move happens. If that does not happen and we continue to drag in this area and start shifting lower, which means we will be stuck badly in a very broad range. Given this observation, the best strategy you can bet on right now is to sell a triangle using options. इसका क्या मतलब है? इसका मतलब है ना कॉल पे बैट करो, ना पुट पे बैट करो, ना बुल्स को ट्रस्ट करो, ना बेयर्स को ट्रस्ट करो, बिकॉज वो दोनों पैसा नहीं कमा रहे. Which means the way you can bet is bet against both of them. How do you bet against both of them? By selling out of the money options. So maybe you can pick up selling out of the money 18,200, 300 call option on the upside, and on the downside selling across 17,200, 300 ka put option. By doing that, you are allowing the market to breathe. आप कर क्या रहे हो? आप मार्केट को सांस लेने के लिए टाइम दे रहे हो. And now you are having understanding the heartbeat of it. Once you know the heartbeat of the market and you see a reaccumulation happening around this area, that is the time when you have to jump in. So once if you see a move up and a consolidation, okay, I need a consolidation. I don't need a move up from here and continue to rally. नहीं, वो नहीं चाहिए, because then it becomes unreliable. I need a move up and I need a consolidation. Let it breathe. Let it fill the air before it starts running again. Then we will see a breakout happening. If that happens, okay. Now, if that does not happen and we continue to drag down and not do much, then anyways, there is no way you can make money in this market. Otherwise, an intraday. Intraday, you will get some opportunities, but positionally, you will not make money buying any stock. Intraday में मिला, थोड़ा पैसा लो, निकल जाओ. Or the other way is to sell out of the money options. So you can sell 18,300 or 17,300 and bet on that. Am I making sense? How to make money in this kind of a market and how to go about doing that? Are you with me? Everyone? Key options. So options are a classic instrument which you can possibly use in order to make money, because options पे अगर आप नहीं ट्रेड कर रहे हो, you will always be in that jittery कि यार क्या करूं, buy करूं, stocks को कौन से buy करूं, Nifty buy करूं, and all of those things. What you require is patience, because when the heartbeat is not normal, what you do is you relax, reduce it, let it get normal, and then you start running again. Exactly that is what is going to be happening here. समझ में आया कुछ कि क्या करना क्या है मार्केट में? ओवरऑल ये देख के समझने की कोशिश करनी है हमें, and this is how we want to make out. So this is what I want to talk about, and the price of the book is 995 rupees. Many are asking about that. What is the overall horizontal line that we are seeing? Just a second, where is my chart gone? So this is individual. These lines shows high volume activity for that specific day or period. That is what has been marked, and we can clearly see that. So यहाँ पर next support of Nifty is at 17,580, which is the futures price. 500 is the spot price. We anyways know OI वहाँ पे अच्छा है, and the resistance is around 18,060, which is somewhere around 18,000. So it's a no-brainer right now, because near around वहीं पे हम चल रहे हैं. So that is what we are seeing. The two colors here is represented 70% of the volume has happened in this green color. Remaining outlier or normal distribution के बाहर जो होता है वो remaining 30% है. That's statistics if you know. So 70% is the green and the remaining outliers are where it is happening. So we are in the upper end of that 70%, which is very interesting, right? So if we break out. So चलिए अभी काफी सारे जन पूछ रहे थे कि ओवरऑल निफ्टी पे फिर करना क्या है मंडे को. उसके लिए हमारा एक वेबिनार है which is happening on Sunday. Do you want to be a part of that? The software is Go Charting. Do you want to be a part of the webinar in which I'm going to talk about time along with Elliott wave this time? That webinar is happening on Sunday at 11. You can simply visit wavesstrategy.com. Here is the link. और आपको ये जो नीचे लिंक दिखेगा exclusive free webinar, you can click on that, save your spot, and I will discuss in much more detail about that webinar. So for people who have been asking me about the book, this is the page wavestrategy.com/books. You can simply go get your copy from here, register here, and you will be directed to the correct page. Order it there, and I'll check with my publishing house why the copy is again out of stock. So it's in a huge demand. That's the reason. And for people who wanted to know how to be seeing this entire concept of global market outlook, you can simply visit the advisory section here and select your monthly research report. So यहाँ पर जाके monthly research report select करना है, and once you select that, you will be able to subscribe to it, and you will get the latest research report which will be published today, covering Nifty, Bank Nifty, Dow Jones, currency, bond yields, and complete outlook is about that. That's what I wanted to share across. That's from this page, and you can be sure to be there on the part of this. So again, many people have been asking me about what is this BMW Become Market Wizard program. So that's an option trading program which is happening. So if you click on that banner, you will see the option trading program which is happening on 23rd and 24th of April. That's the option about looking at options, looking at clear cut understanding which strike price to select, how to buy options, how to sell options, गैप अप गैप डाउन को कैसे ट्रेड करना है, एक्सपायरी डे पे ऑप्शन को कैसे ट्रेड करना है, वॉल्यूम प्रोफाइल और ओपन इंटरेस्ट को कैसे इन डेप्थ एनालाइज करना है, स्टॉप लॉस अगर आपने स्ट्रेंगल किया तो स्टॉप लॉस कैसे प्लेस करना है, स्ट्रेटजी कैसे बनाना है. ऑल ऑफ दोज थिंग्स आर हैपनिंग इन ऑप्शन ट्रेडिंग यूजिंग टेक्निकल एनालिसिस प्रोग्राम. You can simply visit this page wavestrategy.com and click on that banner BMW we call. So that's about options. And साथ में Master of Waves is happening in May, and you can learn about wave theory, time cycles, and all of those things. Combined together, both of these two things we call as BMW. And you can simply go and check out the link I'll share across. This is the link where you can simply learn about the entire concept of option trading with wave theory. That is what you can clearly do. So that's the link I've shared across. Please share the link on YouTube also, so that everyone knows how to go about it. And the early bird ends on 15th of April. So ensure you are a part of this before the early bird ends. And it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be phenomenal, because option trading with wave theory is one of the classic way in which you can possibly trade. So I'm going to take a very quick poll. If I want to understand which path you want to choose to become an expert trader, do you want to learn options or just wave theory, or both, which is BMW is combining both options and Master of Waves, or you want to be a part with me for lifetime as a mentor? So that is up to you, what you want to select and how you want to go forward with that. And I'm also active on Twitter, guys, so ensure you are with me on Twitter. You just be there. Do like the page on YouTube also, subscribe to that button so that you keep getting the alert. So it has been late. It's already 4:54. I've been talking for nearly 40 minutes now, and I hope I have not bored you with this information of what I have talked about markets, looking at things, and many more things. So tomorrow we have the mentorship class, guys, so be ready tomorrow at 10. We are going to discuss a lot of things in detail tomorrow, how to time the market, how to look at it to the very minute. We are going to discuss about coming week, and a lot of those things are happening. I'm also speaking at NISM tomorrow evening at 6 to 10 NISM. If anyone is from NISM, I'm be speaking that. And Sunday morning, I have a free webinar for every one of you. So ensure you do share it across the session. So the free webinar on Sunday will be on Zoom. Tomorrow there is no Zoom session for free webinar on Zoom. It's going to be on Sunday. You can simply visit the page which I've shared across, wavestrategy.com, scroll down and click on that banner and be a part of that. So be a part of this wonderful journey of learning with me. And this is Ashish Kyal. I am signing off. If you have any challenges, you need to know anything, please feel free to write it to me on helpdesk@wavestrategy.com or contact me on 9920422202. Enjoy talking about markets, economics, and how the world moves with you all. See you tomorrow at 10 a.m. for the mentees, and day after tomorrow again. Be a part of the Become Market Wizard program. It's going to be fantastic option learning that you can get with wave theory. Thanks a lot.